Igbo mụ na-ege ntị, anyị ekene unu. Anyị si ụbọchị nketa mara na Igbo na mma ka nkwenye chikwado ya zelu dịka o si dị. Tupu anyị aga n'ihu wetara ya bụ ozi anyị ji maka ya wee bịa n'iru akwụkwọ. Ihe a bụ Eastern News 24 ebe anyị si wetara ya bụ ozi gbasata maka ya bụ ife na-ada na-akpọtụ na the whole Eastern region and mkpagbu a na-eme ndị Igbo n'obodo a. Ozi nke anyị wetara unu bụ according to the Biafran activist, as he quotes, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu illegal move that confused Nigerians lawyers no longer support his trial. Here the news in details. Here are the very critical update because as na onye mara no iwe mana we megini we ka get beef because always some lawyers na-ekwu okwu about the move Mazi Nnamdi Kanu made to defend himself in court. So biko tupu gị kwuo gekwentị. All right, over to you, sir.
That their headlines have also got so many lawyers in Nigeria so confused. And I have been watching the reactions of a lot of them in the last few hours. There is this part of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's trial that he himself observed, and he categorically mentioned in one of his court appearances when he was speaking to the press. He said, it is either you guys are doing this deliberately by publishing misleading headlines, running with them like you just left a WhatsApp group that said, okay, go and use these headlines. You are so lazy that you come to court as judicial correspondents. If you are a journalist and then as you attend, you are attached to the court. Your job as a judicial correspondent is not just about what people say. Most of it requires you doing your own background check of what exactly happened, because that's why you are there. And if you have journalists in court, right, whose most, their only intention of attending this trial is not really to expose, right, all of the judicial abuses going on, including the abuses of some of the section of your laws, as Nnamdi Kanu is pointing out. So they are just there for sensational news, headlines. Nnamdi Kanu said, the court denied, the court this, the court that. So on Mayegun's Diary Political, we are not court. And I am not here to hold a court for Nnamdi Kanu. I am here to help those of you who want to know the truth. And much more, those of you who have been following this for quite a long time. You deserve to know what is really going on. Plus what you know, what you have heard, and maybe plus this, you'll be able to have your own personal kind of understanding and maybe conclusion. So before we get into it, I need to remind us all that from my own perspective, having been somebody who has been following this for quite a long time, and I'm not following the sensational headlines, I mean follow. Here you get. So I can tell you this for free, that the position of Nnamdi Kanu, the Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, is that there is no court in Nigeria that can try him if they are obeying their own laws. And the argument that, he submitted a no-case trial. Do you get me now? And a no-case trial was rejected, meaning the court says, oh, he must actually put up a defense. So that is why we are probably going to it now. So Nnamdi Kanu has nothing to prove to everyone. He is there, right, to show to them that if you by any chance, just for a second, take a moment to reread these sections of your own laws, you realize that all these things you are doing, all these things, you are wasting your time. So I have seen lawyers, some of them who are very much, very kind of vocal on social media. They've been expressing their disappointment. Who gave him this kind of advice? The court gave it first. You sack your lawyers. You said you want to defend yourself. You've got witnesses. Now you are saying that, you are no, they do not have any legal standing to actually try you. So what are you actually doing? I'm not a lawyer. I'll tell you what happened in their court today and give you precedents as well. So the last time when Mazi Nnamdi Kanu appeared in their court, which was last Friday, he told the court that he couldn't really represent himself within the time frame given to him by the court. Because number one, he needs to have his case file for the first time handed to him to actually look into it, study it, because the charges they charged him for, what they charged him for the past 10 years has been treason. And he's defeated them in court already. So I want to see what you are charging me for and all of that and the legal backing, the section of your law that you are using, relying on to charge me before I can put up my defense and call my witnesses, because that is when I'm going to know if you actually have any legal ground to actually charge me. Not all this stuff you are putting in the papers or in their media. This is what I want to see in my case file. So they gave him his case file, I believe, and over the weekend. So when he arrived in court today, right, he was expected to possibly address the court and tell the court the process of his defense, what he's going for first and next, and the rest of that. Or no, Nnamdi Kanu didn't do that. What did he do? He told the judge, right, that after going through these new charges, because when they kidnapped him in 2021 from Kenya and charged him for treason, not terrorism. So when he went to court, he based his argument on, they said, they were charging him, then they said, there is no, any of his actions that they have presented so far, because he won't give them what they will use in nailing him. And what was that? What is that? Nnamdi Kanu believes that if you accuse me of something, you get me now, the onus of proof is on you. Meaning you have to be the one to prove that I committed that crime. There's a section of your law that allows that. I'm not going to give you anything. I'm not even, in fact, going to call any witness. But you first, before that, you need to show to me that law, that treason law, that relates to what you said I did, incitement. I am using social media to incite the people. You see, that word incitement is also covered under the free speech. So that is not a terrorism, it's not a treasonable offense. So you will need to prove that I have actually done something, right, treasonable in this sense before your court. You know something? Their federal high courts under Unyako, was like, okay, if Nnamdi Kanu is not going to defend himself and all of that stuff, because they couldn't show him any law in Nigeria that says, if I'm talking about referendum, if I'm talking about self-determination, there is no section of Nigerian law that criminalizes that. There's no section, nowhere written in your law that if you are talking about referendum, if you are talking about breakup of Nigeria, if you are talking about those things, right, there's no law. But Unyako was like, so based on that, he said, you can't try me. You've got no jurisdiction to try me. Considering the process of extraordinarily renditioning me, and then you are charging me for treason. No, you have no such. Unyako found him guilty and said, well, in that case, Nnamdi Kanu is guilty. I can't even remember the sentence he gave him then. So they went straight to the appeal court. At the appeal court, it can't be like his sense kind of like, came to life. The appeal court agreed with Nnamdi Kanu 100% that indeed, based on this section of your law, I'll show you some of them, right? He is right. Even though he's not a lawyer, but yeah, he is right. He can't be tried in Nigeria. That ruling was the ruling that Nigeria failed to appeal the first 7 days or so. They waited for about 9 days before they now went to the Supreme Court and said the Supreme Court should give them the right to retry Nnamdi Kanu. Now, there's a section of your law that says he who disobey court order cannot approach the same court for any support or any prayer. Nigeria government disobeyed their own courts. They did that, they violated their own law, but they still wanted the same court, the same law, to answer their prayer. So this is the replay. Rather than go back and charge Nnamdi Kanu with the same treasonable felony, they are now charging him for treason. So here is the argument that happened today. So Nnamdi Kanu told the judge and said, hey, Judge, I have read through the case file, but guess what? I realized that even though a court of appeal gave me the judgment in 2022, right, that the court actually discharged me and acquitted me of all of their charges. Now, because there was no law they could use, there was no part of their law. They were making up all nonsense law, the cyber Kiniko Act, cyber, all those nonsense laws that are not related. However, they lost. So he's now telling them that they are charging me for terrorism now. For terrorism, this is like them changing their case again. And guess what? They made a mistake. Or maybe they didn't make a mistake. It's just part of the old John dice they put together. They are charging me under Terrorism Act of 2012, where they already have a new one. That law has been abrogated, as is no longer existing because they've amended it in 2022. So which means the case they are charging him for terrorism right now, they are using their 2012 Terrorism Act, which under itself, right, which in itself contradicts itself based on what these guys are presenting as Nnamdi Kanu's case. Now, again, this is not a court. And also, if you get to know, I don't think Nnamdi Kanu has anything to prove to anybody, right? Because he knows that he won't get the justice in their place. The longer they continue to ignore this particular set of their own constitution, and they are trying him under that constitution, right? Under a law that doesn't exist. So how do you try somebody? You are currently trying him before a judge right now, and you said you are trying him under the 2012 Anti-Terrorism Act or something, right? But it's already amended. The law doesn't exist. So Nnamdi Kanu is now asking them that they will need to come up and say, hey, Nnamdi Kanu, we are charging you under this particular law. And all these charges, you know that when they charge you in Nigeria, right, their court will say, charge one, you, Mr. Nnamdi Kanu, on the 18th of December 2020, you did so and so in violation of the section of subsection of their, here you get. So you will need to come and tell me. And if you won't, then I've got nothing to defend, which means whatever evidence, which in itself, by the way, whatever evidence you think your 5 DSS witnesses presented, which in itself are not really much like tenable anyway. But if you want to go ahead, that statement that I incited people by asking them to fight for their rights. I incited them by telling them the reasons why Biafra had to go through a peaceful referendum is covered under free speech. And if by any reason at all that you want to actually have any conviction for that, Baba, with the time they've locked him up in their detention, it's even overspent the time. It's just a 2-year detention if you are found guilty. So it's not terrorism, it's nothing. But they are making up all this, APC did a lot of those laws, all this to gag Nigerians, scare them, you know what I mean? And most of the time, lock them up. So today in court, I'm coming back home. So today in court, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu said he's not looking forward to justice from these guys. Only God has justice. So whatever meaning, whatever interpretation you want to give to what is going on, he strongly believes that in the presence of justice, this whole sham trial, this nonsense will fall apart like a domino. He said, God is the only one that gives justice, not these guys, not these rogues, who continues to compromise the same judicial process, right? And then say, oh, he's using a delay tactics. What's the point? He argues there, he wins you, you disobey the court order, you still lock him up. So is that justice? Is that something that, it's not saying that he's not going to put up a defense. So he wants the prosecution to come and check their own error in their own, the haste in which they want to actually have him jailed or even killed. They continue to make mistakes, like when they kidnapped him from Kenya. So he's not looking for justice from them. He's not the one there charging them. They are the one holding him, right? Illegally. Listen to this.
Where's the lying news agency of Nigeria? Are they here? Those liars and deceivers, are they here? That distort the news. You don't know what law is. You don't know what justice is. Where's the news agency of Nigeria? What are they? You don't know that God is a God of justice. You don't know that? That God in heaven is a God of justice. You don't know that?
Yeah, he was asking the journalist, where is that news agency of Nigeria? It's lying people. Sending out a wrong information simply because they want to keep the narrative in the media the same. And it's so shocking that Nigerian lawyers, some of them have been, sort of like ventilating or something like online. What it is that thing, the only thing they haven't done is to snuff life out of him. What is that thing you think they want to really do to jail him? Is that not what they are already doing illegally right now? So what is that thing that you think will happen if he says, go and do your ruling? Well, before you do that, right, I am going to share with you the section of your own law that says this. He's been denied access to fair hearing. When you accuse somebody of something in the face of the law, they are considered innocent until found guilty. You understand? Innocent until found guilty. And in the onus to prove that somebody has committed a crime that is a criminal offense mostly lies on the prosecutors. And that's exactly what Nnamdi Kanu is doing. There are sections of your law, as useless as that your trashy paper called constitution, that those lawless criminals are using to gag you. There are sections of it that still gives him all of these rights. But he's not looking forward to them to like obeying them. He's not. But is there going to be a record that all of this happened? Yes, there will be records. So listen to this. Nnamdi Kanu is deriving his, new move on the following. And there has been any counter sort of like part of the constitution that is contrary to what I'm about to read to you right now. Nothing like, okay, if you go to section, no. Listen, they have a section 36.4a, by the way, 36.4a. Said, whenever any person is charged with a crime.
Edaluli ne siwe na nunum obosi nketa na Eastern News 24 beba isiwere weteru nyabu nnukwu ozi gbasata maka ya bife na-emenụ ka efi were ikwu gbasata maka ya bife ndị weteru n'ụbọchị nketa n'iru akwụkwọ.